Hi, welcome all. In this video, we will see TestNG part 2. As part of this video, we are going to discuss about what is annotation, @test annotation, enabled attribute, priority attribute, and ignore attribute. These are the topics which we are going to see as part of this video. So in our previous video, we have seen that what is TestNG, why to go for TestNG, and how to install TestNG into your Eclipse. So now we'll start using all those things. So just install the TestNG, right? Then we need to use all those things. So that's the reason we are here. Then first we'll see what is annotation, and then we'll see what is test annotation. Annotation is a feature introduced in Java 5. So as we already discussed that JUnit comes default with your Java, and in the JUnit also you have annotations. So the annotation concept introduced in Java 5. So TestNG is built on top of JUnit. That is the reason we are saying that annotation is a feature introduced in Java 5. Annotation is used to add metadata to your Java source code. This will allow you to add information to an existing data object in your source code. It can be applied for classes, methods, variables, and parameters. Java allows users to define their own annotations too. So Java is allowing you to create your own annotations. So by taking that advantage, TestNG has developed on top of JUnit. Okay. TestNG made use of the same features to define its own annotations. Annotation can be described using symbol. Right. You are seeing that @test. So symbol used to describe a annotation. TestNG annotations will direct the execution flow of your program. So that is the reason, because of this point, TestNG annotation will direct the execution flow. So because of this line, we are using TestNG to control your execution flow, which test case to execute, which test case to skip, all those things. Okay. So this is simple about annotation. So coming to the @test annotation, we have so many annotations in TestNG. We'll see one by one, but the most important annotation is @test annotation. So what is @test annotation? So the most important annotations in TestNG is test annotation. This annotation makes or marks a method or class as TestNG test. When you give @test, that method or class will become TestNG test. If you apply at class level, then it will mark all the public methods present inside that class will become test methods. Okay. It had a lot of attributes which you can see along with the test annotation, which will enable you to use the different features provided by TestNG framework. Each annotation will have some attributes. By using some with that attributes, you can achieve some other purpose. Okay, we'll see all these things. But first, go to your Eclipse, and in our previous class or video, we have seen that we have created some login and registration, and we have written some methods, and we faced some issue that how to execute all these things, right? So coming to the TestNG, we don't need public static void main. Strange, right? That is the starting point, right? This is the starting point. Then how you start executing your methods without public static void main, right? How you can do that? Java will start executing with the public static void main. If the public static void main is not there, then how Java will start executing, from where to execute, which method to execute? These are all the problems, right? So here we have one of the annotations which we are discussing, at @test annotation. when you make any method at the rate capital T is test, when you mention something like that in front of, means above your test method, right? In the 6th line you have this method, on the 5th line if I mention at the rate test, then this method will become test method. Okay, before going to this, okay, what I'll do, Control Z. Yes, now if I right click on this class, I'll say run as, you are saying Java application, right? You are saying Java application to execute this. When I run this, it will execute one single method, that register with email. You see that register with email, it is executing. The reason I am calling this method here. Now if I remove this, right, if I remove this, if I right click now, run as, you see that we are not getting run as Java application. The reason is there is no main method. If there is no main method, it will not come to know that from where to start. That is the reason it is not even giving you to option to run. Right, now what I'll do, I'll put at the rate capital T east. Okay, now it will give you some error. That's fine. When I right click, you see that I'm not seeing. Now I need to import this. Okay, when you hover on that, you see that import test, from where arg.testng.annotations. arg.testng.annotations, from this package you need to import this test, and you have add JUnit4 library, otherwise add JUnit5 library. JUnit5 is latest one. So when you add this one, you have at the rate test annotation in JUnit also, same annotation. So don't confuse, don't add JUnit. So just right click. The reason why it is showing, so we'll do one thing, I'll remove TestNG. Okay, go to the build path, remove from the build path. Okay, I remove TestNG now. Now when I hover on this, you see that now I'm not getting import option. Instead, it is saying that add TestNG library. The reason is this test annotation is available in JUnit4, JUnit5, TestNG. So from these three, which library you want to add for this test? So then just hover on that. We are interested in TestNG. Click on TestNG. You see that TestNG added again. Okay. Now if you hover, now you see add TestNG library gone. Now we are getting import test, and from org.testng.annotation. Just click on this. You see that it added this line, import org.testng.annotation.test, and now you see that error gone. Now if I right click on this, run as, you see that TestNG test. Now it is recognizing and it is able to execute your class without main method. Without main method, now I am able to execute this class. When I say TestNG test, when I click on this, so we'll see that what is that. You see that register with email, it executed perfectly. The reason is this is the only executable method. I do not have @test for this register with phone. That is the reason it is executing, which is having this one. Do you want the application Eclipse.app to accept incoming network connections? Okay, no problem. Allow. I never get that pop-up, but first time I am getting, no problem. So when I right click, run as TestNG test, you see that simply it executed. Without main method, I am able to execute a class. You see that, right? and detected TestNG version 6.14.2 is the latest version. I think it recognized, detected this version and registered with email, executed, and it printed on the console. And you'll get some extra information that this is default test, total test run 1, there is no failures, there is no skips. So this is default suit, total test run 1, failure 0, skips 0. This kind of information it will give you. The reason is it is giving from the TestNG, and you will see one of the extra tab here after console, results of running class registration. When you click here, you see that you will get this kind of information: default suite, default test, and TestNG.registration. TestNG.registration means TestNG is a package, inside that registration is a class. That class, inside that register with email method, it executed. Okay, if you have any failure, you see that failure exception. In this area, you will get that exception. You will see that error, that what is the cause of error, you will get here. If it is everything is fine, pass, you see that passed 1, failed 0, skipped 0, test 1 of 1, methods 1, and took 298 milliseconds to execute. It's a kind of report it is giving. But I'm not talking about the reports which I told you, right? TestNG report, that is not this one. But here also you can get some basic information: how many methods are there, how many passed, how many failed, how many skipped, kind of information you will get here. Okay, so now I'm able to execute without main method using TestNG. I want to execute this one also. Okay, no problem. You just put @test in front of this. Now just execute now. Now both the methods will execute. You see that? Register with email, register with phone, and you see that total test 2, there is no failures, no skips. Right, 2 tests it is executing perfectly fine. Without main method, I am able to execute all the methods which are there in the registration class. I have 100 methods inside this. If you put @test in front of that, then 100 methods will execute one shot, no problem. Right, now we'll move forward. Now what I'll do, we discussed that you can make it class level and method level. Right, class level, method level. Now what I'll do, I'll take some dummy private void register with some ID, okay, and I'll say register with ID. I'll put @test here also, Control V. Now if I execute this, you see that 3 methods, it's executing fine. And we discussed that, okay, first we'll go here, login page, login.java. Here I removed main method, all public methods, public. Okay, I want to execute all the methods. What you need to do, you need to mention @test in front of all the methods. Right, something like this. Okay, now just assume you have 100 methods. You have written 100 methods and all are public methods, and all methods you want to execute. This is your requirement. Then no need of putting @test for each and every method. Instead of that, you just put for your class. You see, above the class, public class login, right? Above the class, if you mention @test, then all the 100 methods which are inside that class will become test methods. It's applied for all the methods. Right, okay, I'll remove this. I'll try to right click, run as. See, I'm not getting anything. So now if I say Control Z, Control S, otherwise Command Z and Command S, then if I right click, run as, you see that TestNG test. When I run this, you see that I have 5 methods. 5 methods got executed. You see total test run 5, 0 file, 0 script. I am not mentioning how I mentioned here, @test, @test for each and every method. But even though if I put it at class level, the public methods which are available in the class all become by default @test methods, and then it will execute. It's one of the handy thing, right? Instead of putting for each and every method, you can do this. Now I'll come here. I have one private method, so I'll remove this @test method. Sorry, annotation. So by using this annotation, it is coming to know that it is a test method, right? That is called annotation. So I'll put here class level what we did the same way. Okay. Now if I remove this, okay, no problem. So when you come here, I made it at the test class level. If I execute now, run as TestNG test, you see that it's executing only 2 tests, but I have 3, right? 1, 2, 3. And we discussed if it is in class level, it will not consider private methods, only public methods. Okay, you need to remember this. Okay, that is one of the points which I want to discuss. That's fine. So this is one way. Okay, we are making it class level and we are executing. Now what is there to discuss? Enabled attribute. Okay, now we'll see what is enabled attribute for this. So enabled means enabled attribute, right? So we're talking about enabled attribute. I have a test. I'll remove this, Control X and Control V here, and forget about this private method. I'll remove this and just I want to show the difference. If you have private methods inside this, if you mention in the class level, it will ignore that. Now I have this. Now attribute means it is giving an extra information about your annotation. Okay, how you mention in the normal bracket @test and the normal bracket attribute is equals to attribute value. It's a syntax. I'm just saying what is the attribute. We're talking about enabled. Okay, enabled. You see that we have, if you say control space, otherwise we say control space, you see always run data provider class, depends on groups, depends on methods, description, enabled, expected conditions, message, regular expression. You have a number of attributes. So you may not use all these things, but some of them, see, it is not only developed, it's not developed for Selenium. It's a unit testing framework to write unit tests for the developers. So we are using that power to control our Selenium methods, Selenium tests also. Okay, it is not developed for the Selenium, it's developed for the development to write unit testing frameworks. With that power we are using, that is also applicable for this normal testing, so we are using. Okay, so here we have one of the attributes called enabled. Okay, the enabled is, the return type is boolean, whether methods on this class methods are enabled. Okay, enabled is equals to, okay, true. Okay, now if I run this, run as TestNG test, you see that it executed 2 methods, right? it executed two methods. Now if I make it false, okay, if I make it false, now if I run this, run as TestNG test, you see that only one executed. What about this one? Enabled equal false means you are indicating, you are instructing TestNG that don't execute, do not execute this method, only execute this method. Go to this one. You see that passed one and it's showing only this one. Okay. Now the same way, if I mention the same thing here also, when I run this, you see that 0 and it is giving some information. What? Main class, the XML suite files to run. See, these are the options to run. It seems some see, no test found, nothing was run, so nothing to run. Okay, so this is how you will get. Okay, now I'll make enabled equal to true, and here also I'll make enabled equal to true. Okay, when I run this, okay, I'm getting the same thing which we have seen. So I'm removing this enabled equal to true and here also, and I'm running again, same thing. So without enabled equal to true, if you do not put enabled property, both the times it is working same way. Then what is the reason? What is the meaning of using enabled? Right. So the default value of enabled is true. If you do not mention, the default value is true. That is the reason. If you're not mentioning enabled equal to true also, by default it is true. That is the reason it will execute. When you want to skip, skip in the sense when you do not want to execute that method, then only you need to explicitly mention enabled equals to false. Okay, this is how you can skip your test case. Okay, this is enabled property. The next what it is? Okay, ignore and priority, right? So we'll see first ignore. So you can apply how many annotations you want, you can give. See, if I give at the rate ignore, okay, ignore. You see I'm giving here and again I'm enter and giving here, means both are applicable on this method only. Okay, and I'll remove this. Okay, let it be. Run now. You see that no test found, no test found, nothing was run. Enabled equal false, it is not executing, that we already seen. But why it is not executing? So ignore also same purpose. Ignore is equals to enabled equal false. Okay, recently introduced. Okay, I think 6.11, I think, I'm not very sure. Now it is 6.14.2, right? I think the ignore is introduced in 6.11, I am not very sure, but recently introduced. Instead of writing enabled equal false, you can directly apply one of the attribute annotations called ignore. Both are equal. Okay, and that is what I want to tell. And if I remove this, when I run again, it will execute only one. Okay, that's fine, but I'll remove here and put here beside that. When I run this now, whether it will execute, you see that you can put like this, otherwise you can put like this also, which is you are comfortable, you can give that way. Is that if you give space, if you are not giving the space, if you hit enter all the times, it is working fine, which is you are comfortable. If you feel in single line, if you put, that is, if you are convenient, you can put like that. Otherwise, oh no, I want to put something like that, then it's very readable format. Your wish, you can put. If you put at the rate, then it will automatically detect that there is an annotation what I have to do. Okay, ignore means I have to ignore, right? That is one thing. And we have one of the things like I'll remove this ignore. Now here you have description, right? Description is equals to, you can mention, you can give some more information about, see, register with email. Sometimes the method name is not giving any proper information. You can say that registering the user using his, or register the user using their mail ID, something like that. You want to give some information, elaborative information, more description, then you can give something like that. Nothing will happen. It's not mandatory, but you can give something like that. You see that? If you are not giving any description, it is taking, you see, it is printing both, right? You see, register with email, and after that it is giving the description also. Here nothing, but in the console it's giving both, register with email, and is giving the extra information, the description also it's giving. You see, register with the user using their mail ID. This is extra information. It's not mandatory, but if you want to give some extra information, you can give. Okay, that is one thing. Enable equal true we have seen, ignore we have seen, and what else? Now see, now the next point is priority attribute. Okay, priority attribute. We'll see that what is priority attribute. So I have two things here. One is register with mail ID, one is register with phone. I'll put this in the top. I'll put on the top. I'll change the order. If I run this, which one will execute first? You see that register with email is executing first. You see, this method is executing first, this is executing next. But I have written this way, right? While it is coming step by step, it has to execute this one, right? But it is taking what with this name. I'll remove static. Static is no use here. So register with phone, register with email. It is looking into this method. Here I can make out one thing, right? It's taking alphabetical order. See it? If I put in which order, it is taking this one. While I'm analyzing this, I felt this is taking alphabetical order. Okay, fine, alphabetical order. E comes first, then P comes next. That is taking this one. So when I execute this, it is taking it is doing the same thing. This is first and this is second. So, but as per my requirement, I want to execute phone first, mail next. It's the best example I can say that here. I'll create one more method. I'll execute. I'll take one more class and execute. Prioritizing tests, something like that. Okay. Then I'll write two methods here. Public void sign up test. Okay, s out, sign into the application, something like that. I'll take one more, public void login test. Okay, s out, log into the application. Fine. So I made it at the rate test here, and the same way I put at the rate test here also. Okay, I executed this and I executed this. You see that log into the application executing first, sign into the application second. The reason is L comes first, S comes next as per the alphabetical order. But if you consider in the real-time scenario, without sign up, can you log into the application? Just an dummy up example I'm giving here. But when you come to the practical, without signing up to the application, can you log in? No, right? It's not the correct order. First you need to sign up, then using that credentials you'll log in. And here alphabetical order it is taking, that is the reason login first, sign up next. So no meaning of executing this way. But my TestNG is executing this this order. Then how can I do? Means how can I make execute login first and sign up second? Right. To make that, we have one of the attributes of test annotation called priority. Okay, priority is equals to, okay, we'll see what is priority, right? Okay. You see that priority, and it will accept int. The scheduling priority, lower priorities will be scheduled first, right? Priority is equals to, I want this should be first, right? So I'll make it 1. Okay, and the same way priority equals to 2. That's it. First will execute first, second will execute second. Now if I run this, what happened? Only one executing. Okay, it's already registered with its working registration, but I need now prioritizing tests. Okay, you see that signing into the application first, log into the application second. I overridden the default priority using the priority attribute. Okay, now I'll give this one 100, this one 200. So lesser number will take the highest priority, first priority. And then also same thing. You see, sign up first, log in second. But if I make it 300, just an example number I'm giving. See, this is more than this one. So 200 will execute first. Run as TestNG. Now log into the application first. Sign up second. Okay. Now if I give 0, if I give 1, you see that 0 comes first, sign into the application, log into the application next. So I'll remove the priority itself for this. Okay, I'll remove the priority for sign up and I'll give the priority equal to 1 for login. Now tell me which one takes first. I am not at all giving the priority for this. I am giving the priority equal to 1 for this. Now if I am executing this, let's TestNG test. You see that? Even then sign into the application first, log into the application second. This is taking first, this is taking second. If I am not giving priority also it is taking. What is the meaning that? What it is conveying? When I put 0, it is taking the first priority. If I remove, taking the first priority, then what is that? Means the default priority is equals to 0. If you mention, if you are not mentioning, the default priority is equals to 0. That is the reason. If you put priority equal 0, or if you remove priority attribute, even then also that is taking the higher priority. Okay, you need to remember that point. But the default priority is 0. The enabled equal to true, right? Enabled equal to true default. If you are mentioning enabled to is equal to true, or if you are removing the enabled property, same behavior. At the same way, here also enabled equal to 0 or enabled equal, if you are removing the enabled itself, the default priority is 0. Okay, you need to remember that. And you can give this one also. Enabled is equals to 0 here, and then your -1. Okay, enabled equals to 0. What it is? Mismatch cannot convert into boolean. What is that? Control Z. Sorry, that is priority. I am giving enabled. So if it is -1, okay, this is -1, 0. -1 is less than 0, right? We'll see that whether it is taking the -1 or not. Yes, taking, logging into the application is taking first, and 0 is taking next, right? So it's purely order. -1 will take first priority 0, and then normal 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is all about priority, how to execute all these things. Okay, now we have completed what is annotation, test annotation, and we have seen enabled attribute, priority attribute. Actually, this is not ignore attribute, it's ignore annotation. I missed that. I have wrongly mentioned ignore attribute, but it is ignore annotation. It's not the attribute to any annotation. It's all about @ignore. So that is also annotation. There is a typo, no problem. But this is all about today's video. What is annotation? Test annotation, enabled attribute, priority attribute, and ignore annotation. Okay, that's all about this video. Thank you.